we doing, everyone? Tommy Grisafi, Agbo Media, Agbo Trading, the Agbo Podcast. It's Saturday. Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer and I were traveling like madmen, working, giving speeches, etc. It's Christmas time, so we're going to get this one out to you, which gave us more time to prepare. And he says, allegedly, we have breaking news. We'll introduce him, and then we'll get in the show. I want to hear what this breaking news is. And of course, I thank you for watching. Merry Christmas. Drop a comment down below. Let's get into it. Oh, and the crowd goes wild. The crowd goes wild. Mr. Wiesemeyer, you've been out speaking. Do tell about your travels.
I'm telling you, I began, the warmest place I went to this past week, this is perspective, was in Kansas, much warmer than normal. But I began the trip in New Orleans at the rice growers meeting, very well attended, trade show, rice grower meeting, lots of friends in rice country. And then I went to Kansas. It's hard to get from New Orleans to Newton, Kansas, by the way, north of Wichita, but all the great people over the years. I've done the meeting 13, 14 years, wheat and cattle meeting, and it was warm there. And Kansas don't really believe they're in Kansas anymore because they've got more than usual precipitation over the past few months. That's what I learned there, amongst other things that we'll talk about. And then I came back home and went downtown the next day to DC to talk to the peanut growers. So that I had the gambit as far as different groups, Tommy.
Yeah, I like it. And you know what's so great about you, Jim? Not that many people can find many things, but I'm going to tell you one thing that's great about you. Everyone in this industry talks about corn and beans, corn and beans, corn and beans, and you are like, I mean, you're talking about peanuts. I've never had a friend who spoke for the peanut growers. So that's
you want the best protein in a little pack each? Hold up a peanut. You don't have to eat many of them for protein. And I told him, I said, I went to that, the Future of Food conference, and they even said, as more and more people, I haven't taken them, and you can see I haven't taken those shots to make you thinner. I'm waiting for the pill. But you need more protein when you take those shots, and a little more peanuts won't help. So they had a whole section on marketing and peanuts and things like that. And it was a different type of a meeting for me, although their prices are down in peanuts, just like everything else except cattle. They were an innovative group, thinking ahead how to market their products in different ways. So that was different. In the rice grower meeting, we'll talk about this White House meeting that they announced that farmer aid package. But the star to me at that meeting, Tommy, was a rice miller. I think Meryl Kennedy from Monroe, Louisiana. She sat right next to President Trump, and she articulated one of the biggest issues in rice country, the low prices, the dump prices that India has for rice, and how that's impacting the whole world rice market negatively, Thailand, China's rice policies, etc. And she was so articulate and succinct that Trump turned to his Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, and said, Scott, get on this. So he wrote, you could see him write down notes. So that's an effective presentation in front of the President of the United States. So I applaud her.
So where it was the President, this young lady, then Rollins, right?
She sat right next to, between the President and Rollins.
Yeah. I was wondering who the heck that was.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's get after it, my friend. Farm aid.
Okay. That's the big topic of the day. And the biggest word in agriculture is bridge. Okay. This is a bridge loan. We now have a name for it. It's the FBA program, Farmer Bridge Assistance Program, FBA.
Mm.
It's funded at $11 billion for row crops, and $1 billion is being held back, Tommy, for specialty crops, fruits, etc. Also, sugar is included in there, and that's part of the problem to me. Number one, even though 11 billion is a lot of money, I'm not going to discount that. I don't think it comes woefully short of what is really needed in farm country. And the $1 billion held back for specialty crops, even the specialty crops producers and lawmakers from those states are saying, this won't do. So they're already have legislation to increase that number. I think eventually USDA will increase that number, especially since it includes sugar. And I know internal USDA analysis shows there's $500 million in losses just for the sugar growers, Tommy.
Wow.
And
Wow.
I've done a number of interviews where sugar beet growers are losing. Many are losing $300 to $400 an acre, where some first-time sugar beet growers are losing $700 to $800 an acre. You heard me correct. That's a lot of pain, and for them to be grouped with just $1 billion for specialty crops, this thing has to change. Now, the source of
Yeah.
funding for this $12 billion total farmer aid package is interesting. President Trump I would go back, Tommy,
Go
to,
back one.
yeah,
Yes, sir, Mr. Wiesemeyer.
President Trump, when he had the roundtable Tuesday, I think it was, said that the money was coming from his beautiful tariffs. Well, they're not. He just not right. He likes to say a lot of times that funding's coming from the tariffs, but it's not. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins said after the session, she clarified it and correctly and said it's coming from the Commodity Credit Corporation. Remember, right
Hmm.
before the government shut down for 43 days, USDA moved $13 billion into this pool from the Commodity Credit Corporation. And so I want to make sure people know that I don't know why Trump keeps saying that. I
Well,
asked a White House person and they
I know
said
why. I know
he,
why.
he just wants to justify his trade
This,
policy, right?
well, when he loses the Supreme Court thing, he's going to say that's horrible. Now we can't pay our farmers. Now we can't put the
Yeah, true.
$1,000 in every
Could
little
be.
kid's checking account. Now we can't do this, and
Yeah,
he's gonna. They are already preparing for that
they are.
that
They are.
saga. That's my little
They
conspiracy
are.
theory.
They are. They are. But I did ask a White House person. They said, "Why don't you correct him to tell him not to say those things?" And they said it's just rhetorical to him. That's the answer I got. Well, okay, all right,
Yeah. Can I tell you something? I was
sure.
thinking about someone the other day. Remember that young lady? She was just beautiful. Hope Hicks. Remember
Yes,
Hope Hicks went on the stand
absolutely.
and said, "Sometimes we tell the president little white lies." And I was thinking, I Googled, where is Hope Hicks now? Do you know what Hope Hicks is doing?
Where?
Same thing I'm doing. She's the head of Megyn Kelly Media. She's clicking the buttons for Megyn Kelly. She's the CEO of all Megyn Kelly's media companies. I found that
Really? Well,
fascinating. Yeah.
she's good. She's a good spokesperson, and she's very efficient. And that's basis President Trump over the years talking about her.
Little white lies. Hope
Yeah,
Hicks. And
well,
that was the end of her.
In the Catholic Church, we call them venial sins, right?
Oh, baby,
And
let's
now
go.
on the timeline for the farmer aid package, December the 19th, farmers have their acreage in, but they gave them a deadline of December the 19th at 5 o'clock my time, Eastern time, Mecca time, for producers to make sure their 2025 acreage reporting is accurate. For those growers in Kansas, in Newton, Kansas, I had a couple growers ask me if that acreage includes prevent plant. It does not. It does not. Failed acreages does because it's planted and considered planted. Okay. Now, the
Hmm.
week of December the 22nd, USDA is expected to release the commodity specific payment rates. And I think they have a good knowledge now of what they're going to announce. And the money will be paid no later than February the 28th. Now, we have some conjecture of some of the payment rates. I think we've got that table, and I'll put out orally for the just the listeners. These are from Paul Neefer, the Farm CPA report, a very good friend of mine, a tax expert, just a good guy. So if these are wrong, blame Paul, not
No, Paul's
not
the best. He's the best.
but Paul gave a good shot estimate. Now for corn, he's got the payment rate of $48.35. Now, if there's a 90% level, because they may not pay out the full amount, that's how they do. They want to make sure that they don't oversubscribe this program. A 90% level would be $43.52. For soybeans, was lower than people thought. The initial payment rate, he's got it $31.77. A 90% level is $28.59. I think with the recent downturn in soybean prices, USDA may have to rethink that payment level. And I think we'll have a chart later on the soybean prices.
Well,
Yes,
look at that.
there it is. Look at they had that run up. Hopefully, farmers sold some crop during that 150 or so run up in the price, and now we're back. Boy, that's a head and shoulder stop, isn't it? Wow.
Yeah, a little bit. We're hitting the 100-day moving average, and we pierced
See,
it.
look, and that emphasizes. Oh, wow, that's an ugly chart. That's an ugly chart. Yeah, and then some other some wheat. $37.38. You put the 90% factor, $33.64. Cotton, look at this one, $99.15. That you heard that correct. $99.15. 90% factor is $89.24. That shows you the downturn in cotton prices, Tommy, right there. Rice. Look at rice, $107.98. Yes, you heard that right. 90% level of $97.18. Now, less acres for both cotton and rice relative to, of course, the biggies, corn and soybeans. Sorghum, $50.19, 90% level, $45.17. And we've talked about sorghum milo over the last few months of how the tepid Chinese interest in U.S. sorghum has resulted in a much lower price. And peanuts, since I was there, they may get $87.76 flat payment rate, 90% level of $78.98. Now, those are not too bad, Tommy. But the American Soybean Association president came out and said on CNN that this is a Band-Aid on an open wound. Boy, I don't think that went down well at the White House, to tell you the truth. But he said that. I probably could have said it more diplomatically.
Jim, who said that again?
Wranglin, or I can't think of the full name, but that's the president of ASA. But he just said, and I think legitimately, he said this only covers, and boy, I'm just thinking out loud here, about 26% of the losses. There's the crux right there, Tommy. And let me give you some internal background here. Some people at USDA wanted Trump and Rollins to announce a $20 billion program because they have identified the losses in just the major farm crops, corn, soybeans, wheat, cotton, and rice, at around $46 billion. So you can see $10 billion versus that. This better just be a down payment, and this is why there's already efforts in Congress. G.T. Thompson, I think we've got his picture, Tommy. He's already saying that they're working on a $10 billion additional farmer aid package because of the need that's out there. Now, for full perspective on this, economic loss payment program. Number one, it's not limited to the trade related losses. That's important to point out. That initially it was just going to be trade related losses, and that's why probably soybeans thought they were going to be the kingpin here, and they're not. But There are a number of producers. They have come up to me, not a lot, but more than I would have thought, saying, is this continued release of aid program eventually going to come back to haunt the U.S. ag sector by having us be seen by citizens outside the ag sector as always getting assistance. And
Hmm.
I told him, I said, I hear you, but food is security, and I think there's bipartisan support for this aid package. Now, you'll have a number of Democrats have already been negative. Angie Craig, representative from Minnesota, House ranking member on the House Ag Committee, and she's running for the Senate. And she's already been negative relative to this program, saying he's got it. Trump has to do something better with this trade program, et cetera. But the White House people tell me, well, for any Democrat who complains about this program, ask them what they will do. Ask them
Oh
what they
my.
would do in a certain situation, and that's a fair counterpoint. Would they want no aid, for the
Mhm.
producers? But there is a substantial need, Tommy, out there. You travel, and I've traveled enough. Yeah, we wish we could get it from the marketplace, but your losses per acre, as we've shown in charts before, are almost across the board for the slate of agriculture.
Mhm. And going back to the ASA, was that Caleb? Caleb? Caleb?
Caleb
Yeah.
Ragland,
And now,
yes.
yes, yeah. Now my friend is taking that job over. His name is Scott Metzger from Ohio. He will take over the presidency in 2016. So
Okay.
congratulations to him.
Yes,
All
absolutely.
right. So we did congressional aid. Let's talk about the new farm bill.
Yeah, GT Thompson has indicated that they're going to try again for what they call the skinny farm bill or Farm Bill 2.0 in January. Good luck. I think they maybe could get it out of the Ag Committee, but off the House floor, I'm just not confident, because there'll be 40 or so around Republicans who won't vote for the farm bill. They usually never do. And that means you need Democrats. Well, will they get enough Democrats to vote for Farm Bill 2.0? Not unless they claw back some of the food stamp funding cuts that the Republicans took out, saying that that the whole SNAP program needed reform. I hope I'm wrong, because there are some viable programs in Farm Bill 2.0, but I think that they'll kick the bucket down the road again and have another. I think it would be the fourth extension of
Mm.
those features. But recall, Tommy, we had in the budget reconciliation bill the one big beautiful bill, the OB3 bill, as we call it now for clarity and tightness. That was your really farm bill right there. That's where we got that's where we got the major increases in reference prices and positive changes in the crop insurance program. And thank goodness that we got that.
That's
The
neat.
other farms on the farm aid, a lot of farmers ask, how did they come up with this? And it's based on USDA cost of production models. The WASDE a price support, so they'll probably use the December 2025 planted acres. Remember, you have to have them in for sure by December 19th at 5 o'clock. And they say a uniform formula modeling economic losses for the 2025 crop, and payments are limited to $11 billion. And some people think even getting this payment out by February the 28th will be a tight fit, but
Mm.
I don't think this is as complicated a program as some people think. Once they can spit out those payment rates, and they've done it before. If you recall, earlier this year, in December 21 last year, by law, Congress put in a 90-day, no later than 90 days that they had to pay that $10 billion, and they met it a little bit earlier. So USDA's Farm Service Agency, in many ways, are unsung heroes out there. And I heard from a number of farmers in Newton, Kansas, that their county offices are down to one FSA person rather than the usual three because of the prior reduction in force in government offices, and a number of FSA employees took that buyout opportunity. And that's why, even to this date, Tommy, some farmers are telling me they're still not getting the supplemental disaster relief program stage 2 payments yet. And when I get those emails, I flip them over to a key official within the farm service agencies, and he looks into it and helps them out. So if you're not getting those payments, and you should have got them by late November, just email me and I'll do my best. I can't guarantee, but I'll do my best to funnel your frustration to the people who ought to know that.
Good, good job. All right. Fed rate decision. Less.
Before we do that, can we
Okay.
go to the late breaking news?
Oh,
Let's
you
go.
want
We
the
should have been
breaking
yeah,
news.
yeah, we need some
Hold
late
on. Here
breaking
it
news.
comes. Bitty,
Okay.
bitty, 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 beep, 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 bitty, bitty, bitty.
We One was a good one. The U.S. has lifted sanctions on Belarus potash. Now, I don't have to tell any farmer listening that fertilizer prices are still high, not just high, still high. Now, eventually, that means more potash fertilizer coming into the United States, because Trump initially put sanctions on Belarus because of their close relationship to Russia and their involvement, pseudo involvement in the Russia and Ukraine war. But before potash can start coming over to this great country, Europe is going to have to lift their sanctions, because that Belarus potash goes through Lithuania. So at least it's a step in the right direction. Another one, very late Friday, so that's one advantage of going on Saturday morning, Tommy. USDA announced that Mexico has committed to repay the water deficit under a 1944 treaty that we have. They're going to meet their outstanding water, delivery obligations to U.S. farmers and ranchers. That's mainly in South Texas, under that water treaty that I talked about. And they're going to release 202,000 acre feet of water, and it's going to begin the week of December the 15th. And the two governments are going to negotiate a broader plan to repay the remaining deficit, hopefully by January 31, 2026. So that's an issue that previously Trump recently said if they don't solve that problem, meaning Mexico, he's going to put another 5% tariffs on Mexico. Well, that didn't sit well with their president. And Trump gets along very well with Scheinbaum, their Mexico's president. And this is just another indication, Tommy, that we can work with Mexico, especially with their president. The other update I have that caught my eye this morning: the European Union is freezing $246 billion of Russian assets until the war with Ukraine ends. And they have to agree to help reconstruct Ukraine. So that's a big development. Even nowadays, $246 billion is a chunk of money. And that's the three updates that caught my eye, Tommy.
I'm not going to let you one up me, Mr. Wiesemeyer, on your show. I got more breaking news. You ready?
Oh, yes.
It came out a little late last night. And I don't know if it's a big deal, but I'll read it out, okay?
Yes.
You get a little drink, I'll go solo on me, and you clear your throat. Oh, I'm solo on you. Hold on. Here I come. Solo on me. There I am, Tommy Grisafi. All right, everyone. I don't like this one, but I got to read it to you, and I'm not proud of this, but this is just what's going on, right? JBS just announced it's closing its Riverside, California beef facility on February 2nd, 374 jobs gone. They blame optimization. But, well, then someone put their opinions about the truth. But Google that, folks. JBS just announced they're closing a Riverside, California beef facility February 2nd. About 400 jobs lost. Not as dramatic as Tyson, but damn it, if it's you who lost your job, it's a big deal.
True.
Little
That is true.
perspective on that, Jim?
Yep. And JBS is primarily a pork processor. Okay. That's one perspective. But two, this just shows you the continued consolidation within the meat packing industry as a result of just what's going on. The lowest cattle inventory since 1951, is it? Yes, and
Hmm.
you have that demand still pretty robust for that for our steaks and hamburgers, etc. Despite our president trying to knock down the price of both cattle and hamburger. So I think the market's going to determine when we get that price down, and the demand is going to have to falter, but it hasn't yet.
Yeah. I was out to dinner Thursday night with your buddy Mike Sands, and he continues to say, we are teaching Mexico how to raise cattle and sell them and finish them. And every day that these cattle don't cross here, they're going to have to figure something else out. We'll get to that in a little bit. Let's go to the Fed.
Yes. Well, the Fed, as widely expected, dropped the Fed funds rate 25 basis points. That's the third consecutive cut, Tommy. And initially some people misread Jerome J. Powell, the Fed chairman's press conference. They thought he was more dovish, but when you really listen to the full press conference, I would say he was just less hawkish, but he was not dovish. I say that because if you look at the dot map that I think you have,
Hmm.
uh, they show only one further cut in 2026, where I know Trump wants 2, 3, or more cuts. And Jerome J. Powell is going to be Fed chairman until May of next year. And so he's still going to be data dependent. Now, we're going to get some jobs report in December and other inflation reports, but even Jerome J. Powell said, that data may not be truly reflective because of the shutdown. It may be distorted data. So that tells me we are going to have to go into January and look to see how this data goes. Bottom line, we got the cut, 3 consecutive cuts. It looks like they may cut another 25 basis points in January, but we had some dissension within the voters, the 18 voters on the FOMC, and I think that's going to be the trend in throughout 2026, where you've got some major differences within the Board of Governors of the Federal Reserve, and so I don't think you're going to have a unanimous vote many times in the FOMC meetings in 2026, but interest rates are going down. I tell farmers this time next year, hopefully you'll have at least another
Hmm.
percentage, 100 basis points, or maybe 150 basis points down. So that'll mean less financing cost. Where if you had your financing cost of 7 to 8% in farm country, maybe they'll go down to 6% or 5.5 to 6%, and that's not too bad. I mean, the days of 3% or lower are gone. Forget it.
Yeah. Hey, I'm having a little problem pulling up graphics, but I'm going to hop out of the show and hop right back in. I'm going to give you your next topic because
Okay.
I just want to, I think I'll get it if I click back in. I think we'll keep recording and you'll be fine. We did Fed rate decision. We'll do this. You keep talking. I'm going to log out, log back in,
Sure.
and you just keep going until I pop back. I got to
Okay.
get these charts up. Okay. You keep going, Jim. Bye bye.
Okay. I'm going to go with a very sensitive topic here again, is the possible reopening of the US Mexico border relative to the screwworm incident. Now, I wrote an item yesterday, Friday, on a possible pre-Christmas announcement, as they're eyeing in the Trump administration a reopening of that border, maybe sometime in 2026, a phased reopening.
Hmm.
Uh, Now, what I'm hearing is most observers in the market believe that actual cattle movements would not resume until early 2026. Now, some of the key provisions, I believe, are being part of the possible plan that could be announced. They would establish a quarantine zone at a roughly 12 miles around the site of any future screwworm detections in Mexico. if that's the case, that would still allow the movement of Mexican cattle to continue, even if there were new screwworm incidents in Mexico, as long as you had that 12-mile quarantine area. And that targeted buffer approach is intended to minimize the risk while allowing
Right.
that cross-border cattle to continue. This is speculative, but I'm hearing it from pretty good people. And I know Secretary Rollins met with some cattle people earlier this week, and that's why I think I got some of the reports from people at that meeting, to tell you the
Hmm.
truth. Okay.
Okay, I'm back. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Can you see me? All
Well,
right.
I have to go to another screen. I
No,
see you.
don't do it. Don't do it. All right, let's continue with this. Yeah, all of a sudden I couldn't click. I'm like, oh no, we're not messing this up. Well, and I know you could have went for an hour. You'd be like, yeah. All right, did we do USMCA? Yes.
No, I did not do
Okay, let
USMCA.
me pop
Yeah,
that up
we
right
can
there.
do that.
Okay, right there. USMCA. Jameson Greer. That's what I was
Now,
popping up.
Jameson Greer, who really, if you want to go to a guy who's not murky, okay, he's articulate, but he's quieter than the other cabinet members, but he's the nuts and bolts. He does the work. He does the hard work. Now, he was at the Atlantic Council Thursday, actually, and they did an extended Wall Street Journal reporter, his last name is IP, did the interview, and it really was a good interview. He just didn't ask about soybeans, which I wished he would have. But
Mm,
one of many things that caught my ear, Tommy, was when he was asked about what about USMCA, because the Trump administration wants a major overhaul. Now, he mentioned, he revealed that he has not met jointly together with Canada and Mexico this year, but he said the U.S. relationships with both Mexico and Canada are too different for a one size fits all renegotiation. Wow. That means that at least their baseline plan is they want bilateral agreements as opposed to existing trilateral agreements. Now, some people tell me that's just leveraging, that's just jawboning until they get what they want. But he openly acknowledged that an exit from the traditional USMCA is an option under the sunset clause. Now, what do they want? Well, he said areas that need to be fixed is the automotive rules of origin need strengthening to stem that production shifting to Mexico. In other words, he wants more production back in the United States. Now that affects
mhm,
Canada too. And we had Sean Haney on AgriTalk, and he acknowledged that the auto sector, which has very good lobbying, he said better than the ag lobby in Canada, is worried that Trump wants more manufacturing of cars coming back to the United States. And he also wants to lower the auto tariff rate, the MFN, most favored nation tariff rate of 2.5%. That the U.S. leverage, that limited the U.S. leverage last time. And he also said Section 232 auto tariffs have now altered that landscape. So, bottom line, he wants similar content increasing rules for non auto sectors. So he wants to open up that agreement. And I think Canada and Mexico will team up together to probably fight some of the U.S. positions. So, but we've got a long haul on this one, because really the heat of the talks start July of next year, Tommy.
oh boy. Oh boy, lots of stuff going on. Let's take a little break here for commercial identification here. If you like Mr. Wiesemeyer, you can see him on my new website, www.agbull.com. As fast as Jim's putting out articles, you can see him there. Of course, if you want to subscribe to Jim directly, he makes it super easy. We'll get that there. It's going at the bottom of the ticker, Wiesemeyer at gmail.com. Wiesemeyer. Okay, moving forward, we have premium content now. We are putting out stuff all the day, texting people, emailing morning summaries, afternoon summaries, educational videos, $25 a month, $250 a year. Thank you to all the new subscribers last week. We appreciate it. We will continue to get more content put out as 2026 rolls around. I have a couple surprises coming up for the show, but I can't tell you because it's a surprise. All right, Mr. Wiesemeyer, I'm going to pop up these banners, but I kind of feel like you talked about it already. We just did USMCA. We did, you talked about water already, right?
We talked about water. We've got
Okay.
a tentative agreement, short term, with a long term agreement sometime in January. So that's a good thing for South Texas farmers who need the
hmm
water.
Now, we talked about the US Mexico
We
border.
did talk about that sensitivity and of a speculative nature to be upfront, but you just don't make this stuff up. They
hmm
want it science based. I want to emphasize that.
hmm
Whatever they do announce, whenever they announce it, you'll hear Rollins say this is science based because they're skittish about this one. So they want protective measures in store to protect the U.S.
I
cattle
know
industry.
there's like a big dog food company that's their whole motto, science based. Maybe that's the name of the damn dog food. All right, blender tax credit.
There is a bill put out introduced by Senator Marsha, what's her name, Blackburn, from
hmm
Tennessee, who wants to go back for 6 months because, for good reason. The IRS and Treasury Department still have not released 45Z sustainable aviation fuel details. And they will shortly, just for the 2025 tax year, but not 2026. So she's saying in her bill, let's give the producers the option for a higher, basically it's a higher payment price. I think it went up to $1.75 in the blender's tax credit until the Treasury Department comes out with these rules and regulations. That's the nut there. Now, whether or not it'll fly remains to be seen because it'll have a price tag. 6 month price tag won't be nearly as high as a multiple year price tag. It's legislation I'm tracking because some people really would favor that legislation in the biofuels industry, because right now biodiesel is not near as robust as it was because of this lack of focus on the Treasury Department's fault. And I wish someone would ask President Trump about this. Maybe he could get Bessent going on this issue. Now, to be fair to the tax people, they're saying they're busy as all heck getting ready to implement the one big beautiful bill tax incentive provisions for January 1 next year. So that's their reason. but we have a void here under implementing the sustainable aviation fuel 45Z. But here's the farm policy angle, Tommy.
hmm
If you if you're not going to have many new trade agreements that are robust, that have big additionality for U.S. farm exports, we have some. You have to emphasize the domestic utilization of farm products. Well, corn and soybeans emphasize the renewable fuel standard program, year-round E15, and also the 45Z program. Which crops are going to be eligible, at what level, what tax incentives are involved here. And those are all unknowns at this time. So we haven't seen the domestic utilization side certainty come into these programs, and that's a big void here that I hope the Trump administration clarifies sooner rather than later.
Here we go. ACA premium subsidies.
There's one. Affordable Care Act is ACA. It's also called Obamacare. The Senate this past week rejected both the Republican approach and the Democratic approach. So next week, this coming week, we'll see the House debate their version of the bill, Republican bill, and it doesn't include an extension of the enhanced Obamacare incentives that was in place during the COVID years. They have their different approach. So it'll be curious to see what the vote is. But you have a number of moderate Republicans who want to go with a 1 or 2 year extension of those enhanced Obamacare or ACA incentives in return for some reform of the program. So there's your battle lines. That's going to be clearly evident next week on the floor of the House. And frankly, I've got people saying they don't know which way it's going to go. So this is going to be a
Really?
battle to watch. Yeah. Yeah. And more than a few farmers take Obamacare. That initially surprised me but when I thought about it, I said, if a spouse doesn't work off the farm, farmers have to pay big time for
Mhm.
individual health insurance. So that's why, probably one of the biggest reasons why there's more than a few farmers in that around 20 to 22 million people taking ACA.
All righty. China soybean trade discrepancy, but
Well, we even have some of the naysayers who errantly said there was no agreement. Well, there's no announced agreement. Now that China continues to buy U.S. soybeans, even though it's at a $1.20 or so premium to Brazilian beans, there must be something going on. And even though the price goes down, I think most of that was factored in. But we still have some murkiness relative to the timelines as far as when this 12 million ton soybean purchases should be made on the part of China. Commitment. Uh, Initially, if you'll recall, in a White House fact sheet that was not so factual, apparently, they said by the end of this December, November, December purchases. That's not the case. Then later on, Scott Bessent said the end of February. And then you heard both Bessent and Greer say the season. Well, they haven't defined the season. Some people think that's the marketing year. Other people think that the season is that time frame, and this is why Bessent probably said end of February, because usually U.S. sells the most of its soybeans to China in the October through February time frame. That's prior to Brazil's harvesting their new crop.
mhm.
So I think it's a blend of both, Tommy. I'm going to come out with a story maybe today that shows it looks like it's on a marketing year basis. That makes the most sense to me
Right, right.
because if it's on a marketing year basis, that means that the bulk of this 12 million tons, 70% should come in the period prior to the
OND,
February. Oh, yeah.
October, November,
October
December,
and
and then
February through
JFM,
February.
January,
Through,
February,
yeah, and
March.
then 30% in the remainder of the soybean marketing year. That also makes sense if you know that. Remember, they said the other commitment was 25 million metric tons
Mhm.
for, they said, years 26, 27, and 28. Well, you don't double count. If you do it basis a marketing year, okay, then
Mhm.
that would be 26, 27, 27, 28, and 28, 29. And that makes the most sense to me. But sometimes logic and Washington programs don't mesh together. But I have asked Treasury, I have asked USDA, please tell me if this is a correct interpretation of that. So that's where we're at on that. But bottom line on this, uh, their continued purchases, they're, depending who you talk to in the trade, Bessent said that they're within the timeline. That means to me that February probably
Mhm.
is succinct there. And he says they're right going in line. So we're going to see some additional purchases, and some of these naysayers are going to have to maybe admit that they were wrong, that they wouldn't purchase very many U.S. Soybeans. That tells me that industry analysts may, and I emphasize may, be good
Mhm.
at crop analysis, but when it comes to politics, they don't know much.
I like that. I like that. Let's head to my home state for the gossip.
Well, Trump is mad at Indiana, certain Republican politicians there in the state Senate, because they rejected Indiana's redistricting that would have garnered at least two, if not more, seats for the Republicans. It passed the House. Now, Trump, in Trump's way, has threatened that he'll lobby against these lawmakers who voted no in their forthcoming elections. But Indiana is going to vote again, I was told, in January. So you could still see that redistricting vote go through. So watch
Hmm.
January on that one. And this goes into the whole thing about redistricting. You'll recall that Newsom in California got his law through that it's going to mean up to 5 fewer Republicans. There's not many Republicans in the Congress anyway from California, but it could mean 5 fewer Republicans. And Texas, of course, the Supreme Court ruled that their redistricting plan is okay, and you're going to have up to five more Republicans in the state of Texas. It's going to be close to a wash when we're all said and done in that one. But this is politics 101 that's happening right now. That shows you the significance of these 2026 elections. The
Yeah, the
Democrats
midterms.
smell the possibility that they're going to regain control of the House and maybe the Senate. I don't think the Senate, but that's what they hope for. But
Hmm.
I think it's just still too early because we have to see how the U.S. economy is going to work out once we get the full implementation of the One Big Beautiful Bill. And if the U.S. GDP, gross domestic product, which equals economy, if that's more robust than most people think now, and interest rates are going lower, if they get some of the food inflation, which is sticky right now, going on a continued downward path, yeah, your Fed fund rates is going to continue to go lower. The economy is going to be better. And if that's the case, companies are going to hire more because they'll have more certainty with some of the trade policy stuff. We will have the Supreme Court ruling out of the way probably no later than early 2026. So believe it or not, we could have some stability in this country in 2026. And that's why it'll be a very happy new year for me if we get any more certainty rather than uncertainty, Tommy. And that's a pretty good line to leave on, isn't it?
Yeah, let's a few more
Oh, ag
little things.
trade, ag trade.
Yeah, you think we're done? I'm not
Oh, I
leaving
thought
out
we
of
were
here.
done. Yeah, I thought
No,
we
you're
were
the one who
done.
sent the notes. Let's go, baby.
Oh my goodness. We had a record here. I can bottom line pretty quick. We had a record ag trade deficit in 2025. That ended at the end of September. I could give you the numbers, but the point is we had a record trade deficit of 43 billion and change. That's a lot. And remember, for
Hmm.
years, we had a U.S. agricultural trade surplus. And I'm not going to point fingers. It began in the Biden administration and it's continuing in the Trump administration. Trump will say that there was not one new trade agreement in the Biden administration, but I think it's a series of reasons why the dramatic increase in the imports of horticultural crops, the value of the dollar, etc. We need to turn this thing around. And at least some of these trade agreements that Trump's announced, while they're not robust in additionality of U.S. farm exports, there have been some. Rice to Japan,
Hmm.
we have a bigger rice market share. Ethanol has been a big winner so far. China's at least importing soybeans now and sorghum, milo, and it's better than zero. So I think there's some things going in the right direction. And on our other one, the deficit is again, although narrower for the month of for
November.
the latest month, we have some robust tariffs, $32 billion for the last month alone. So that's narrowing the deficit, but we still have a big deficit we're chewing through because of the cost of funding the accumulated deficit that this country has. That's why we have to get that economy going and watch our spending in Congress. So that's kind of what we had out this week with the agricultural trade situation and also the total U.S. Trade deficit, where our imports from China are down, I think, 25%. That tells you
Wow.
the sanctions there. And we're importing less as a result of the tariffs and that. And that's what's making the trade deficit from the U.S. perspective narrower, but we're not exporting as much either. That's the bottom line.
where can we see Mr. Jim live the next few weeks as we go into Christmas?
Next few weeks I'm home and I'm going to recuperate because January is going to be a blur, and I'm going to a number of states. Crop Insurance Research Bureau out in California is coming up. I've got Farm Credit. My good friend there, the CEO, Christy Seifert, is in January in Florida, and a number of crop insurance speeches. I'll be in North Dakota. I'll be in Wisconsin. Going to Wisconsin in January builds character. Okay.
Hmm. Hmm.
And I'll be at a number of other spots. It's a blur because I have more than a few January speeches, and we'll detail those as I get closer to going out, Tommy. And we'll probably have some Friday or Saturday programs more often than not in January.
Sounds good. Now, you were trying to wrap it up a few clips ago with something super optimistic about if all the things hit, you're going to be super happy. Say that again the way only you
Because
do.
businesses, including agriculture, is going to have some stability of information. Maybe Trump's tariffs will settle down. Maybe we'll get a resolution of the fights that he's had with Canada. So maybe, and the biggest news, Tommy, will be if Trump reduces the remaining 10% fentanyl tariff on China, and China releases their 10% additional tariffs on U.S. soybeans. If that's the case, then U.S. soybeans become much more competitive with Brazilian beans. So I think that that's a distinct possibility sometime in early 2026. And overall, I said with the economy, if the one big beautiful bill gives U.S. businesses the comfort of knowing what the policy is going to be, they can hire more people, they can come out with more entrepreneurial products, and that gets the economy going again, and that's good for domestic utilization of farm products, etc. That's a pretty rosy view of 2026. I'm hoping for it, and I'm sticking with it right now.
Mr. Jim Wiesemeyer, everyone. See you, buddy.
Yeah, see you.